Why can't men take rejection?
Do you think women would rather pay for the first date or have sex on the first date?
Oh, I mean, I would pay.
100%. So do you agree with Andrew Tate and his message for men?
I would think that everyone deserves a relationship, even if it's just like a friendship or...
romantic.
More romantic. Yeah, I do, because everyone deserves love. Like, love is such a good feeling.
Do you think, would you say that guys should be persistent, like with girls? If she initially is just like, I'm not really feeling you, but do you think guys should? Yo guys, welcome back to another episode on my channel. I'm sitting in this spot, which means I have a great conversation lined up for you today. You know, on this channel, we talk about all things dating, relationships, and seeing if we can use what we've got to attract the kind of person we want for a relationship. So without further ado, please welcome Frankie to the show. Frankie, welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
How you doing today?
I'm all right, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. The weather's cooled down a little bit. We're not too sweltering now.
Oh, see, it's been really hot in the car on the way here.
Really? Fair. It's got to be done. I mean, you know, we like to complain about the cold here in Britain, but then when the second gets hot, we're like, okay, it's too hot.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Look, I want to jump straight in. So first, tell us your age or your age range, if you don't want to tell us your age as a young woman, and tell us one thing a guy should know about you if he wanted to take you on a date.
Oh, so I'm 27.
Okay.
And one thing that a guy should know if he took me on a date would be I am a lightweight.
You're a lightweight.
Yeah,
so that means she's a cheap date, guys.
Cheap date.
She's a cheap date. Always been a lightweight, not much of a drinker.
I do attempt to drink, but yeah, I'm not very good at it.
It's funny, people will take the piss when you're younger, but it's like, that just means you don't have to spend that much to have a good time.
And you know, the thing is, I don't really like the taste of much alcohol either.
Okay.
So I feel like that's one thing. I go for like Disaronno and Coke. It tastes like Dr. Pepper. Now I've been drinking like rosé and lemonade. So still getting there.
Yes, now we love it. Well, let me ask you this to start off. We're going to jump straight in. Do you think everyone deserves a relationship?
Yes.
You do?
I would think that everyone deserves a relationship, even if it's just like a friendship or...
romantic.
More romantic. Yeah, I do, because everyone deserves love. Like, love is such a good feeling.
Yeah, but is a relationship not kind of like a six-pack? Isn't it something that you kind of need to earn, grow in yourself, become the kind of person to have that kind of relationship?
I do think so. I feel like one thing in a relationship, you shouldn't just be with someone just because you feel like you need them. Like, they have to bring something to you and add something to your life. I don't feel like you should just be with someone just because you're trying to fill a gap or fill a hole. And a lot of people jump into relationships very quickly after probably breaking up with someone or feeling a bit lonely and feeling a bit lost. But actually, self-development is more important than actually being in a relationship. In my own eyes anyway, I do feel like that's true.
Yeah, I hear that. Interesting. When you get a guy and go dating, a lot of the time, you know, she's ready for the relationship before he is. A lot of the time. How many women do you think get into relationships because they want a relationship as opposed to this is the guy that I want? Do you think that's common or not that much?
I would think it's pretty common. I feel like, I mean, I'm just speaking from like personal experience, but a lot of women do like to give people a chance, I think.
Do you think?
Yeah, I would think so. I think that a woman would decide that we'll just see how it goes, or a lot of women, especially because of like social media and things, they'll look at other people's relationships and they'll think, well, ours could be like this, and potentially fall in love with potential. I feel like that's a big thing. Yeah,
I think potential usually translates to he has to be ambitious, right?
No, so a woman can have an idea about a man that she thinks in her own head of what the relationship could potentially be like, and we start to imagine these things and think about these things, even though the guy might not even be on that wavelength. But we kind of fantasize about that and want that from this person.
Do you think more women give men a chance than the other way around?
Do you know what? I'm not sure. I would. Do you know? I would probably say yes.
You think?
Yeah.
I don't think so at all.
Do you not?
I think women are much pickier.
Oh yeah, we're definitely picky, but I feel like the chance, especially if a guy is persistent, I feel like sometimes you could kind of be like, oh, okay, then he's been asking me a little bit. But a lot of women have a lot more options.
Oh, they have way more options. Way more options.
So that makes a big difference. A woman having options compared to a man. Like, on a previous podcast that I've been on, they were speaking about like if a man went out on a night out with the intention to pull, it would probably be less likely that he would. Whereas if a woman had the intention to pull on a night out, she would probably get it.
Even if she had didn't have the intention to pull,
Yeah.
she's probably more likely
She probably
to
would
pull.
anyway. She'll still get the attention.
She'll still get it. Yeah. It's interesting because most guys do struggle because obviously we live in like a globalized marketplace now and stuff like that, everything like that. So I think it's very difficult for men to not only attract, but then be persistent with a girl if she's like flooded with so much attention.
A man likes the chase. Men are chasers.
I hear this a lot.
So that to obtain is a thing for a man. So once you've got your woman, you're a bit like, oh, what's next?
Yeah, I hear that. I think guys like the chase if it's reachable. Like they don't like the chase if
it's too
like,
difficult.
Yeah, if she seems like she's not interested at all.
Yes, yeah.
Then I think guys are like, well, then what's the point?
Do you know, I don't know whether I do think that because,
really?
because guys, I feel like if you're not giving attention, you're not even giving them the time of day, a bit more persistent. Like they're a bit more like, come on, give it me.
Do you think, would you say that guys should be persistent like with girls if she initially is just like, I'm not really feeling you, but do you think guys should?
If you feel that way about that person, then yeah, I feel like this goes for the same for women as well. Like if you potentially see yourself and you feel like you are a good fit for that person, why not go for it? Like love hard. Like you've got a short life.
I 100% I hear that, but then we step into the harassment territory with that.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because like I always say to guys, I'm like, look, if you approach a girl and she's expressed that she's not interested, leave it alone. Don't be persistent.
I think it's how you go about it. Don't get me wrong, like turning up to my door when I've not told you where I live, that is crazy. But
fair play.
obviously if you're like maybe DMing me or it's definitely how you approach a woman that makes a difference.
Okay, so let's say a guy approaches a girl. Let's say he slides into them DMs and he's like, hey, I love your page and your energy and your vibe. I think you look really cool. I'd love to get to know you. And she's like, oh, thanks. Glad you like the content, but I'm not really looking in for it. Thanks though. Enjoy.
That's kind of like a soft no.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of her sort of giving herself to you and letting you get to know her in that way, maybe try and find out more about her and try and see if you do have common interests.
But she's already kind of expressed that she's not really interested.
I don't know. I feel like if it is someone that you feel like you could be with, like, just keep an eye on it. You don't have to carry on maybe that day or that week, but if it is someone that you could potentially see yourself being with, or maybe you've known them for a while and you've always sort of had that feeling, like everything happens for a reason and all that. I just feel like it's not, if a woman does say to you straight, no, like I'm not interested, like I feel like those words especially should be listened to.
Yeah, I think most women give a soft no, even when they want to give a hard no.
Just to be nice.
Yes. Because I think even if she's saying no, sometimes it's like, I don't care about his feelings. I'm just going to say fuck
yeah.
But sometimes it's like, maybe she's a nice person, but she's just not interested. So she's like, she's going to tell him no, but softly.
Yeah, in the nicest way.
So I think, I don't think guys should persist. I don't think they should at all. I think if
I feel like that's the wrong idea as well though, because we say about social media and always having the next thing that's best and the next option, and like that's giving up to me. Like I feel like
for me that's no means no.
Yeah, I get what you're saying 100%.
Yeah. I think the reason I say that is just because if you're looking to give your energy to someone who's not looking to reciprocate that with you, isn't it better to give it to someone else who is looking to reciprocate that?
Definitely. And I feel like it can be like pretty detrimental to your mental health as well if you're trying to chase someone that's just not interested and like doesn't give you that energy back. But I feel like a soft no straight away isn't potentially saying it's forever.
I do get what you're saying. I don't think the risk is worth it. I do get what you're saying. Like the potential could be there. Maybe she's not ready now, whatever. But I think the risk of it being not that is too high for most guys to risk.
And that's when it gets to like the weird stage where you're persistent and it's not what I want.
Yeah, I think you should unfollow her, everything.
Cut off, ghost.
No, don't block her. But I think if he knew her already, that's different. But I think if he followed her because he took an interest, then he's not interested. Then she said no. I think you should unfollow her.
Yeah, I feel like there's a difference, definitely. I mean, from my view, like I said to you, if they do know that person probably a little bit more, then maybe be like persistent. But if it is someone that you've literally just found on Instagram or whatever platform, and you're following them, you're messaging them, and you've fantasized about being with that person, and then they've obviously said no because they don't know you or whatever, then yeah, respect that.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I don't feel like it's wrong for a man to try and chase after a woman that he could potentially want and see himself to be with, as long as it's done the right way.
Yeah, what is the right way? What does that look like to you?
Probably just being honest, showing someone like the sort of person that you are, because obviously relationships mainly would say it's like common interests, things that you both like, that you both aspire to be, or anything like that. You need to be kind of on the same wave. But yeah, I feel like getting to know the person is more important than obviously just saying straight away like, I want to be with you. Like you might look at her and say you want to be with her, but you don't really know her. Like, well, if you're saying that.
I agree, which is why I think it's like, how can he know what she likes and become nutritious if she's not giving him a chance, right? It's true. What's something you would like to ask today when you bring this conversation?
So my first question.
She came prepared, guys. She got a whole notebook.
No, I just have a couple. You asked me to prep. I'm going to.
I know. I love it. We love it when I get so prepped.
So my first sort of question is, why can't men take rejection?
What do you mean?
So like, you could be out on a night out with your girlfriends and a guy comes up to you, maybe asks you to buy a drink or dance or whatever. You say no. And that, I feel like, that no is a solid no. Like if I was interested in you, I'd give you the time of day and I'd speak to you. But then a man could turn around and start shouting abuse at a woman. Like it completely switches their emotion to, I wanted to chase you and now you're the worst thing ever.
Yeah, interesting. Well, two things. First, I would say it's funny because we've just had the conversation about him being persistent when she says no. But now you're saying no is a no.
I think the difference is, what I'm trying to say is, if you are wanting to be with someone that you do sort of see yourself with and you know that you have an interest with, and they obviously need to know a little bit about you as well. You can't just say, obviously, I want to be with someone when they don't know you at all. But I think what I'm trying to say is, with the rejection, it's, if a woman does say to you like, no, I'm not interested, and then you are persistent, and then you do turn nasty, and then you do start to abuse that woman and start to give her like shit for it, I feel like that's wrong. You shouldn't do that.
Because, I completely agree.
Yeah, that like, she's obviously said to you no, and then you've carried on, and then she's obviously reacted in that way as well. But I don't think a man should abuse someone or start to call someone names, or like, I've seen some horrific things on social media about a man obviously being told no and that a woman's not interested, and then they'll go on to abuse her and do all sorts,
like
and
call her names and stuff like that.
And I just don't think you can't tear down someone just for saying no to you. Like, no,
I disagree with that. Yeah, of course,
I wouldn't see a woman doing that to a man.
See, it's interesting you say this. I'm not doing this on purpose, but I think, and this is my biased experience, I admit.
Have you had that done to you?
What, where women berated me?
Yeah, like obviously.
Well, women tend to not approach even when they like a guy. Yeah. It's usually if, I have found that the more attractive a woman is, the more difficult it is for her to handle rejection because she's not used to it. Yeah. Guys are used to rejection. We're very used to it, right? Like, even if a guy who's super desirable, there would have been a point where he wasn't, where he would have been getting rejected. It's not an excuse for anyone to hurl abuse. So if a guy does that, he's wrong. And as to why a guy might do that, it's very difficult to... Well, I think it's very difficult to go up to someone that you don't know and express interest. Very difficult in a public space. And so sometimes if a guy's built up the courage to do that, like I said, this isn't an excuse, but if he's built up the courage to do that, and then she rejects him in front of everyone, that, of course, it hurts his pride, his ego. Do you know what I mean? I think there's some girls are like, no, thanks, I'm not interested. But some girls are like, ew, fuck off.
Yeah, and I think that's rude. Yeah.
And I think when I'm not saying how she rejects him is going to encourage, is the reason why he would do that. But I think if it's that kind of rejection and stuff, which does happen, I think guys feel that's a permission. Oh, she's been nasty to me.
So
after I've just put myself out on the line
Yep.
for her, I'm going to be nasty back.
I'm going to give it back.
And it's not a good reason, but sometimes that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But I have found sometimes, you know, I've met with the girl and stuff, and it's, you know, the vibe's not right, whatever. And because she's so not used to being told no by a guy, not wanting
The
to pursue
attitude
it.
changes.
Oh my gosh. Like, she started coming for me about my friends, about my family. And I was like,
No.
rah. And like, I get it. Like,
See,
it's
that's
not
too
nice.
far.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is too far. But I think most girls, especially attractive girls, are not used to being rejected, at least sexually, by a guy. Sexually is a big one. Oh.
Do you know
Yeah,
the thing
I
is,
just had
like
a
you said, though, no means no. Like even if you are in bed with a woman and you get to the point where you are nearly there and you decide that you don't want to do that, or if the woman doesn't, like it is what it is. Like, I don't feel like people should be that offended by it.
Yeah.
It's trying to like keep either yourself safe or them in either mentally or physically. Like, I just feel like it shouldn't be taken as it is. And just because someone says no themselves doesn't mean that it's anything against you. Like, it's how they're feeling.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Do you think women are afraid to say no once they're in an intimate space with a guy for the first time? Just because I've talked to female friends before where they've been like, they had sex with a guy
but
and
didn't
they
really want to. Yeah.
And I'm like, why would you do that to yourself? I just
feel
don't
like,
know. You tell me.
Do you know the thing is, being in that intimate space with a man and getting to that actual point, like, you feel like you do want it, and then you like, it's like a mist, and then something just doesn't sit right, or you don't feel right, or you do just change your mind.
Yeah, you change your mind. A woman reserves the right to change her mind.
That's it, and so do men. But I do feel like it, for a woman, you do give yourself differently when you get into bed with someone. So I feel like that when you are sort of in a relaxed space and you are happy to do that, it can feel very different to when you're a bit on edge and you're just doing it for the sake of it.
So why do women, let's say they change their mind, let's say they've been on a few dates with a guy, they've gone back to his and everything's going well, and she does feel that she wants to take that next step with him, but then in the moment she does kind of, let's say they're just getting into bed or something, and she's like, I actually don't want to, but she kind of knows that maybe he's thinking it's going to happen or this.
Yeah.
Why would she essentially consent to doing it if she doesn't want to do it?
She doesn't want to not please him. She wouldn't want to cause any atmosphere. Well, this is, if it was me in this situation, I would say yes, just to make sure that he's still happy and sort of like give him.
Has that happened to you before?
No, I've been lucky enough that I haven't had to do that.
Okay.
But yeah, I do feel like you do get to a point where you just think, well, I'll just do it. Like, I feel like that could be a lot of women in that scenario that has happened to.
Yeah.
Like,
is it because they don't trust him?
No, I think what it is, if you think about it, you're in like an intimate space. You're probably naked by this point. Like, they've seen you, and you probably would have thought to yourself, like, I'm ready for this, I want to do it. And then because they're ready and they're probably giving off the energy that they are, but it's only you that's feeling like that, you don't want to come across weird. Like, you don't want to come across like you're not normal. Like, you're wanting this, why aren't I wanting this as much?
Right. So it's almost like a cultural pressure to apply the norms.
Yeah, well, personally, that's what I would think.
Yeah. Yeah, so interesting. I think that, I would say that if you don't feel you can say no to a guy in the moment, and you don't feel that you can trust him enough to be okay with that, I think it's too soon to be in that intimate space with him. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely. And what sort of person is that? Like, if you feel like you can't say no, are you scared of this person?
Yeah.
Do you have a bit of like wariness about them? Like, are you questioning what they could be like if you did say no?
Yeah.
Like that, they're the things that will probably be going through your mind as well.
Yeah.
But obviously getting into bed with that person and being at that point, you probably could have thought to yourself, yeah, I do see myself doing this, or I am attracted to this person.
Yeah.
And then that mind changes, and it does sort of make you think, can I say no? Like, it's more of like like an inside feeling
Yes.
rather than thinking that they're going to accept it or not. It's kind of like you thinking, can I say that?
Yeah. She should be able to now, shouldn't she?
Yeah, 100%. And even if you were halfway through and she still like wanted to stop, like that's one thing as well. Like whether it's the beginning, middle, or the end.
Yeah.
If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But I do feel like there is sometimes some women, especially that aren't very confident and aren't very, very self-assured, that would just do that.
Yeah.
Because they would fear probably rejection themselves.
Yeah, I hear that. Yeah, a guy can be like, oh, maybe you just used me or you led me on or something. Yeah, no, I hear that. That does make sense. Do you think women would rather pay for the first date or have sex on the first date?
Oh, I mean, I would pay.
You would rather pay on the
Yeah,
first date?
I'd rather pay.
Okay.
But women out there doing their thing, like
Out there doing the business, boy.
Listen, it's a desire for women just as much as men, and if a woman wants to do that, then you do it. But me personally, I think giving too much too soon, especially on like a date. If you've been speaking to someone for a little while and then you go on like your first date, then yeah, maybe. But like you've not really known this person, you've just gone out on a date with them, and but you do you girls like.
Do you think giving a woman who gives herself too soon, do you think that, you know, kind of hinders her chance of it going seriously? Or
I think giving too soon, I mean, you've not really left anything to the imagination.
Very true.
You've not really built up that tension. Like, think how good your sex life could be with that person if you just wait that little bit longer and learn more about them. Yeah. Rather than give it to them straight away. Like, the first time's never going to be that good. So why would you risk it on the first date that you're getting to know this person if you do potentially like them? Yeah. I just feel like it is too much too soon for me personally.
When do you think is the right time, in your opinion?
I hear a 3-date rule thing, but I mean, I don't know. Whenever you feel ready, I feel like if you've got a connection with someone and you are in that space. She felt ready the first date? I mean, if she wants it, she wants it. Like that, a lot of women do go out to do that. Like it's not just a man thing. A lot of women would go out for sex.
Yeah, that's true. That happens.
But yeah, I feel like for me, I'd like to feel like I know the person and maybe I had like a couple of sexual conversations first.
Like sexting or
like sexting or like getting to know what they like, maybe send a couple of cheeky pictures. Yeah. Like I need to know that I'm fully attracted to this person before I want to do that, I think.
It's almost like all of that is part of the seduction.
Yeah.
It's like the seduction, you know, and guys can make this mistake. They think, oh, the seduction starts from when you kiss her. No, the seduction starts from when you text her.
Yep.
The week before.
Of course.
Like all of that. And yeah, all of that kind of, you know,
I think it's exciting, foreplay, like, getting to know someone, especially in that way. Yeah. It can be very exciting, very new. You can learn new things from each other. And I feel like doing it the first time on a date, it's not always the best. Like, I feel like you want it to be good. You want it for a reason. Like, it's natural.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Do you think it's harder to find commitment nowadays?
Yes.
Why do you think that?
There's so many more options.
For guys or for girls?
Both. I feel like men do struggle a little bit more, don't get me wrong, because obviously there are lots of men out there, and I feel like a woman has more choice because a man would probably sleep with anything.
Most guys would sleep with anything.
If a man wants sex and he wants to try and get it, like, don't get me wrong, it might take him a little bit longer, but he wouldn't really decide that he's going to try and sleep with a 10. He'll probably go for anything that's available, which is very different.
That's true.
Especially like commitment wise, I think a woman, especially women in this day and age, we are trying to better ourselves a lot more. A lot of women are seeing themselves as better women, ranking themselves higher, especially as well. So yeah, I feel like if a man doesn't meet what they're looking for in a relationship, they'll still think that there's more out there.
What are they using to rank themselves higher?
Social media.
By what metric is what I mean?
Probably, obviously, so like TikToks, for example, it could be like a TikTok for being a clean girl aesthetic, and they'll do all of these things, and they obviously want to better themselves in many ways. But yeah, I think looks especially, a lot of people now are trying to look better.
Yes.
We are getting better looking as well. There's so many makeup tips out there now, how to do your hair the easiest ways, and women are starting to accept themselves a lot more. I feel like self-development and liking yourself as a person is really important now, especially for like people's mental health, not just women, but men as well.
Yeah.
So if you do a lot of self-development and really work on yourself personally, you are going to love yourself no matter what you look like. So you're going to rank yourself higher.
Yeah, it's interesting because we talk about value. And I think there's two types of value, right? There's our own self-value that we have for ourselves as human beings, as sentient beings, as spiritual beings having a physical experience, right? Whatever it is you believe. And then there's almost like the value that we negotiate with the world. So like, for example, it's like, if I'm selling you a handbag and I say the handbag is worth 10 grand, but you're only willing to pay 2 for it.
Yep.
Right? What's the value of the bag?
10.
Why?
Because you just told me it's 10.
But no one else will pay for it.
Well, I can't afford it.
But maybe it's not worth 10. But then let's say, for example, let's say we negotiate, right? And then I say, okay, I'll give you for 8. You're like, 4. Let's say we get to 6.
Okay.
Then I'm like, cool. I'm happy at selling it for 6. You're happy at buying it for 6. What's the value of the bag now?
6.
Why?
Because we both had a mutual agreement.
Right. The value to the world or market is based on who is willing to buy whatever it is we're offering.
Right, okay.
If we say, I'm offering this at this price and no one's willing to buy it, maybe it's not worth that.
So do you think it's important for how a man ranks you as well?
What I'm trying to say is if we're talking about the dating market, if you say, I deserve this, if no one's paying for it, maybe it's not worth that.
Yeah, and
that goes for men as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you need to remember, like, you might rank yourself here, but what are you giving that is up here? That like, what do you bring? Like, it's all right saying to yourself, yeah, I'm pretty, I can do this, this, and this, but that's okay. Like on a personal scale and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
But like surface level, like that's fine. But being deeper and actually knowing what you bring to the table and having things that are admirable and that people want is very different rather than just saying, I'm a 10 because I'm fit. Like, I feel like that's very different.
Yeah.
Like if you're a 10 and you're a shit person, you're a 1.
Very true. Can you be, you don't have to answer this. Can you be a 10 and like, let's say severely overweight?
I think no,
Severely.
because that's bad for your health. Like you don't want to be giving that message to people that that's right and that's okay. Even though you accept that about yourself, like that's not healthy for you or like anyone that aspires to you or anyone that's around you, especially if you are severely overweight and you think you're a 10, friends and family aren't being very nice to you because they would want to try and help you as well. So I feel like that's my sort of judgment on that. I wouldn't feel like having anything, especially like being overweight and majorly overweight, like it's just not good for you. And
no, it's not,
you're trying to be this person that you think is attractive and what you should obviously have brought to you as well. But I don't feel like that's something that people would want. Yeah.
It's funny because I think, it's like no one wants to be average, but average is okay.
Average is good nowadays.
Like, I feel like average is okay. Like I think it's like it means you're normal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of the time people are like, oh, well, I want this kind of person. But then sometimes what comes with this kind of person may not be the things that you're willing to accept.
You're not even on the same path sometimes. Like it's not even the same wavelength. Like you can't be a woman and I don't know, not even trying to better yourself or better your life or doing anything for yourself and expecting a 6 foot tall man that's got a 6-pack and money in the bank, wants to treat you and shower you with gifts and whatever when you aren't bringing anything. Like it's all right being a pretty face or even just being a nice person, but you've got to bring something to the relationship as well. Like from when I said at the beginning, a lot of people get into relationships because they're trying to fix or fill something. I feel like that's a really big thing. But because a woman could have been scorned in a past relationship, it's they do rank like their next relationship very high and they're like, this is what I want from the next partner, this is what I want, but they might not actually change and they might not see what they did in that relationship to make that happen.
100%. And it's one of those things where I think having standards is good, is important. I don't think we're saying you shouldn't have standards, but where do those standards come from? Does it come from a place of hurt and desire and hurt and, burn? Or does it come from a place of, this is the kind of relationship I want because this is what I want to give to a relationship.
And I want to grow with this person. I want this person to come meet me and we're both going to grow together. Like, I think like 100%, you can't be in a healthy relationship with anyone unless you are in a healthy relationship with yourself. Very, very, very true.
You don't have to share this because I know you're in a very happy, committed relationship.
I am.
But you've had a previous relationship before?
Yes.
Okay. How did you contribute to that ending?
So my previous relationship, I ended it and I contributed to the ending as...
Not saying it's your fault.
Oh, no. But I definitely know like it wasn't just them, it was me as well. The relationship changed. My view of this person changed and my effort towards them changed. Okay. So that was my contribution. I know that I wasn't giving the effort because I didn't really see that person how I used to or felt the way that I used to. So I definitely held back on feelings, held back on love and didn't really try. Because I did feel in myself that it was ready, the time was ending.
Yeah. How long between you kind of knowing that it's going to end and then you actually ending it? What was that time frame for you?
I'd say roughly about 3 months.
Yeah. That's so weird. Like, I feel like this is such a big difference between guys and girls.
Yeah.
Because usually guys will like be like, I know it's over, let's just end it.
Yeah. Whereas I had to sit and think about that because I've been with this person a long time. I was in a 6-year relationship.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we had like a house, car, like everything. So I obviously had to sit and think about this.
Yeah, that's true.
One thing that I will say as well that I think changes a woman massively is hormones and contraception.
I've heard about this. Go on.
I changed my contraception very close to the time that was ending. And I knew that was definitely one thing that I sort of thought to myself, I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. What did you find?
So I was on hormones before, whereas now I'm on non-hormone. Yes. So it's just my natural cycle, just my natural hormones.
Yes.
And added hormones obviously can increase so many things in a woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like as soon as that changed, my perception of this person and how I viewed this person and the relationship itself, I kind of thought, I don't like this.
Yeah, that's so...
It's very strange and a lot of women, I mean, maybe you'll agree or disagree, but it honestly does change a woman massively being on contraception.
I've heard a few stories of like where a woman was on some kind of hormonal contraception, and it actually happens a lot when people get together, right? Let's say they even get married and she comes off it because usually they want to start trying for a baby, right? And then she like can't stand her husband. She's like, I don't want him anywhere near me. I'm not turned on by him. And she's like, I don't know why. Yeah, and then guys are like,
you feel like you don't know them.
Yeah.
You do.
And it's like, apparently, I don't know how accurate this is, but it's like, I don't know how else to describe it, but the way they did, they're like, oh, if she was on some kind of hormone, then she might have wanted like the very safe option.
Yep.
The very nice, sweet guy, safe option, whatever. And then she comes off it and then goes through her natural cycle. And there's some points where she just wants the guy with the good genes, boy, the 6 foot, good shape, good looking, everything.
Yeah.
And
I'm very lucky. I have both now. Obviously, I do have a mixture.
I can see him over there. He's got it, boy.
I have a mixture of a good man and a sexy man, but it does change you a lot.
Yeah.
I don't get why women think that it's okay to obviously be on these things. Like if I could stop it or like do anything in any way to try and raise this awareness a bit more for women, it's not a nice thing to be on, especially added hormones. Like it's not just your relationships it affects, it's your life, like it's everything.
Yeah, of course. So speaking of being in a relationship, obviously you've gone from being in a long-term relationship, you're in a relationship now.
Yep.
So obviously there's something that you do that at least attracts the kind of guy you want and gets the commitment from the kind of man you want. What do you think you do that is different to most girls out there who are struggling to do that?
I'm definitely a relationship person. I feel like that's one thing for me. When me and Luke got together, I'd like to say I'm pretty fun. I've never really been one to like sleep around or even like have a lot of men on my socials and stuff. Even like me following guys, I've never really done much of that. So I feel like that might be a bit of a difference.
Yeah.
Because I like, even when I got with Luke, like I didn't have to get rid of the roster, and like a lot of women are like, oh, I need to clear the roster now, and like I didn't really have that to do that. So I feel like that's one thing that's pretty desirable.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Being a woman that's not really like flouncing around loads of guys. And we actually have a mutual friend, and she was complaining, saying like, I can't find a guy. I'm really upset. Like I'm desperate for a relationship. I just want someone to love me. But she's out in the club every weekend, and it's that sort of like, I've done the clubbing, like I've done it. I've been out. When I first ended my last relationship, I was out all the time in the club, like just trying to like get out and see friends. And I feel like you've got to be accepting of yourself and be ready for a relationship.
Yeah.
To step into one and have commitment fully from both of you.
Yeah, 100%. How much do you think sex plays into how much a woman gets commitment from a guy?
I'd feel like it's a pretty big part.
Yeah.
Like I said to you about not being able to, well, me personally, not being able to, but not jumping in straight away is a big thing.
Yeah.
Obviously, like a lot of men have is like personal clarity.
Yes.
Obviously you could sleep with the guy, and then all of a sudden you might not be as desirable, or you might not want you as much. Like I feel like you have to grow a little bit more, and sex is always better when you know a person more.
100%.
So I do feel like it is very important.
Yeah. I think we live in sexually liberated times, which is great. Everyone has the freedom to do what they want and the choices to make that they want to make. But when it comes to sex and relationships, women have the power in the arena when it comes to that. And I think a lot of women give that power away too easily. Yeah. And I don't mean like...
They call it pussy power. Yeah, pussy power. I was just going to say it is pussy power.
But it's like, it's not saying that women don't have needs and they shouldn't have those needs. But I think it's about understanding that because that is the power that at least women have foundationally, using it in a way that serves you. Do you know what I mean? Especially if it's a relationship and commitment that you want. Because a guy who's also looking for a relationship, he's looking for that. He's like, how does this woman handle her power, especially with men? And if she uses it responsibly, he goes, this is a woman I can trust. Yeah,
because if you imagine you give it a guy straight away, he's going to be like, how many other guys is she giving that to? It is true. Pussy power. I agree with that, 100%.
Go on.
No, I was just going to say, I feel like it's very important for a woman to understand, although you might obviously want to do that with that person, there's no harm in waiting. Like, and you will enjoy it more, and you both will feel better for doing that, I think, personally.
Yeah, 100%. What's something else you would talk about? Ask.
What do you think the first thing is that a man judges or notices on a woman?
Are you talking physically or?
Well, anything. Could be physically, spiritually.
That's a good point. All right, let's go through it maybe. Okay, so physically, depends. Is she walking towards him?
I'm
she
looking at the legs and breasts.
I mean, yeah, depends on what he likes. I mean, yeah, if she's walking away, obviously, is her figure in general. That's generally the first thing. Do you know what I mean? And then if he gets to see her, then it's going to be her eyes a lot of the time. Yeah. The eyes are a window to the soul.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, hair is a big one. I feel like hair is like the biggest accessory that can make or break.
I mess with mine all the time, sat on here. I'm just like fidget. I keep doing this all the time. I'm fidgeting with mine.
I mean, it's true though. Like but I think for guys as well, you see a guy looking homeless, he gets a fresh trim and he's like, boom. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like every guy was like sweating.
We smell a fresh trim. You know, like when you walk in the door and we're like, he's had a trim. We do. We can tell.
It's true. So yeah, I think physically, he's looking at her.
And you can appreciate that from her. Like obviously what you like about her and how she looks, you appreciate it.
Of course. Like what is the energy that she is giving to the world? I say dating. The first thing we talked about it, but how soon does she have sex with him? Yeah. That is a big one. Because
do you feel like her skills in bed makes a difference? Could you judge that?
Yeah, but not that much.
No.
The reason I say not that much is because I think I think it's much easier to please guys. I'm biased. I think it's much easier to please guys than girls.
Yeah.
Usually, like if you can really please one guy, you can probably really please most men.
Yeah, you're not too different.
It's not too different.
Okay.
Like, you know, guys will have their slight preferences.
Yeah.
But I think each woman's different, boy. Like, I think what works with one,
yes,
the next one may want something different and everything like that. So I think because of that, honestly, I think guys are just happy to be there.
Yeah.
I'm just happy that I'm having sex with this girl. Yeah. They're like, I'm happy she's being intimate with me. Yeah. Like, I'm down for that. I think if a guy's just looking for fun, then it does play a difference.
Yeah.
Because if he's not looking for anything serious and it's something casual, he's just looking for a girl he can have fun with, then he'll probably still have sex with her. But then if he meets another girl that he has really explosive sex with and that's just what he's looking for, then he's probably going to prioritize spending time with her than this girl. But then the irony is, I don't know, when he's looking for a relationship, he probably goes the other way.
Yeah,
the other way around,
100%. And that's just how a man's mind works sometimes, I think, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. What do you think is, have you ever met a guy that you were like, oh, I'd be physically intimate with you, but I wouldn't be in a relationship with you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, there's lots of attractive people out there, but I think to myself, you would be horrible as a boyfriend. Like, even just like old friends that you know, obviously how they've treated women. Like, you could be the best looking, you could be a 10 out of 10, you could be the best looking person, but I know what you're like with women and after, and that for me, and especially the industry that I work in as well. Obviously, a lot of girls that sort of like have management and things like that, we do sort of help on that sort of side. And a lot of these men are in relationships and married.
Yes.
So they could be very good looking, but what are you doing to your wife behind the scenes? Like, I feel like that as well. If I sort of know the person that you are and the morals that you have, like, you're not attractive to me as a relationship man.
Yeah, of course. How much do you think looks play for women nowadays? Do you think they play
I think
more?
it's a big part.
It's a big part.
I feel like you have to be attracted to someone. I wouldn't say it's the main thing, but I do feel like it plays a very big part in all relationships.
Do you think women's standards in looks for guys, do you think it's higher than it was 20 years ago? Do you think it's the same or lower?
Yes, but I do think men are pretty much getting better looking as well. I feel like a lot more men are taking more pride in themselves. And I feel like the percentage of men that are doing that, and then you've got the guys that just sit at home like on their computers all day and sweating cod and whatnot. Like, those guys are just happy doing what they're doing. But there are a percentage of men now that are obviously watching Tate and watching other people on social medias that they aspire to be like, and looking at their lives and being a high value man and things like that. Like, people are making positive changes towards that. And I wouldn't say it's misogynistic on how sort of Tate acts and things. I feel like a lot of his messages are trying to help men better themselves rather than just obviously trying to like demonize him and whatnot. I do feel like a lot of his messages are good and messages that people should take on board, because it's important for you to be able to better yourself and then look at the woman you can attract.
Yes.
And look at your friends that you can attract. Like, they say that you should be around people that you want to be like and aspire to be like and things like that.
Very true.
I feel like it's really important, not even just as looks, but to better yourself in every way. You might not be the best looking guy, but as long as you have a wash and you get a trim, you're better than probably 40%. So
that's probably a very good point. Yeah, and if you're getting to the gym, 100%.
Yeah, even 100%. Gym and stuff. Like, you don't have to be the fittest guy there with the best six pack, but as long as you're not overweight and you have a good diet and you do sleep regularly, so you're not like a moody man or anything like that. Everything that makes positive changes towards you being a nicer, better person in your own life, you're going to be better in a relationship.
100%. So do you agree with Andrew Tate and his message for men?
I do. As much, sorry ladies, I do, because I like his message and how motivated he is, and he is someone that a lot of people shouldn't not act like. Like, don't get me wrong, he is a bit of a character.
Yes,
like,
he's
obviously he is a character, but I feel like his message is important. Like, he lays it down very simply to men, like, if you do this, you're gonna get this.
He speaks the male language very well.
Yeah, and I do think that some of his messages are taken wrongly, and sometimes he does sound like very wrong and misogynistic and whatnot, but it really is, it does go down to how you take that message.
Yes.
And the people that are trying to act like him instead of taking the message on and making those changes is very different.
What do you think is something women can take from him?
I think that with women and Tate, what can they take?
Yeah. Because I mean, you said you've watched him, right? So what if you, as a woman, if you're like, okay, I'm a woman and I want to attract a high value man.
For me, it's a business point of view as well. Like I like him as a businessman. Right. He's very knowledgeable. Obviously, I feel like it's having that sort of person that's very high up, and he came out of nowhere. Like he literally came out of nowhere. Obviously, he's been building his businesses for so long, but he never really like got mentioned a lot. He's always been a bit of a background guy. So I feel like for what women should do with Tate is
like romantically. What do you think? What do you think they should take from him romantically?
He has a very different view of relationships, and it's a very old view. Obviously,
it's very traditional.
Yeah, traditional. Yeah. Obviously, the man is the provider. Women should be obviously looked after and cared for and whatnot. Yeah. Because we are the most powerful being. Like he even admits that.
Yeah, so, I agree. I always say this. I say masculine is strong, but feminine is powerful.
I think it's natural and traditional for a man to be the provider and the go out to worker and whatnot. I mean, for me, it's different. I've got my own goals. I've got my own aspirations.
Yeah, passions.
But there's a lot of women out there that are looking for those kind of men. They want that soft life. They want a man that's going to provide for them and be able to like go out and do what they need to do and come home to them. And I feel like a lot of women do want that. And Tate is trying to explain like where he is from. Yeah. That is the view of men and women. Like that is just what the relationships are like. Yeah. So obviously in a lot of Western culture, women are like, no, we don't want that. We don't do that. We do things for ourselves, which is fine. Like you can still do that. Yeah. And you can even do that and still have a man that's doing that for you. He still can be the provider. But yeah, I just feel like it's hard for a woman to understand when you are a feminist, especially, and you are a strong woman that thinks you don't need any man. But it's fine. Like you can think that Tate is a bit of an arsehole. Like you can think that, but I do think to myself, you should kind of take his message as he's trying to help boys and men. Yeah, more.
Especially when a lot of women feel that men are just not measuring up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like listen to Tate, he'll get you to measure up.
Yeah. What do you think there's such a thing as equality within a relationship? Do you believe in equality within a relationship?
I would love to think that there is, but I do always think it is going to be kind of like a man's world, but women are getting more and more rights every single day. Yeah. Like I do feel like it's not just a what man says goes world anymore. I do feel like obviously it is male dominated.
Well, I guess the whole dominate thing, it depends from which lens you're looking at it, because there are more women in the world than men. Yeah. So like it's funny because if every single woman was like, we want to take away men's rights, they could do that.
Yeah.
there's a lot more.
Very scarily, right? Yeah. The one thing is, obviously, it was about jobs more than anything, wasn't it? But now women are being paid better.
Yeah, they are. Women actually out earn men at the age of 30.
So obviously we do have these changes that we have fought for and they have come into place. But I do always feel like, especially in a relationship, just from probably like, I don't know, caveman times, like Neanderthal, like a man has always been the provider and the one that should let that woman be in the soft life if that's what she wants. Yeah. She can be the stay-at-home mom. She can be the partner at home and the man can provide because that is a man's natural instinct.
Yeah, I get that. Is there anything else you want to talk about or something else you want to ask?
Let me have a little look at my book.
Go for it.
So this is quite a good one, actually. So
go for it.
Do you think a man would be turned off if a woman mentions that she's currently going through therapy?
No, I think for a lot of guys...
I've got an argument. Well, I say an argument. The only reason I think this, it can be two sides. So a guy can accept that if he's going through it and thinks that it's a good idea. Yeah. But then guys can be like, nope, she's going through therapy. She's got too much baggage. Like,
I feel like,
I feel like it can swing both ways with men. You can either think that it's really good that she's obviously developing herself and taking those
after
steps.
herself.
But then obviously some other guys will be like, no, she's crazy.
Yeah, I think it depends how much he knows of her already.
Yeah.
So if, for example, they've gone on a few dates and he's like, oh, I like her and everything, and she mentions that she goes to regular therapy, I think I would say if
Do you think
he's
you judge her?
mature-
Do you think your view of her would change slightly?
No, because I'm talking for me and I'm very biased, but I think with a level of maturity, I think that would actually be an attractive thing.
Yes.
I actually had someone, Josh Brecklebank, I think I just butchered your name, mate, sorry, from Love Island. He was on last week and I asked him, we did the red flag, green flag game. And I was like, she says she goes to therapy. He was like, massive green flag.
Oh, see, that's nice.
I think if a guy is mature, he's like, oh, this is a woman who takes care of herself mentally.
Rather than not thinking, no, you're talking to a shrink, you're a crazy woman.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think if it's like the first date, that's what she leads with.
I go to therapy.
It's like, I think he might be like, okay, she might be dealing with a lot of
Do you want my
issues.
therapist's number?
Do you know what I mean? She's
Yeah.
like, do you want to be my new therapist? He's like, no.
Yeah. Or if you are on a first date, girls, this is a good tip as well. Don't just offload everything to this person.
You don't have to volunteer it.
No.
Let him find out.
Go to therapy and do that to them.
Yeah, 100%. So no, I think if a guy's mature, and I think if he's already built a level of rapport,
Yeah.
I think it's actually seen as a good thing.
Good.
But let me ask you as a woman, if
Yeah.
a guy says, oh, I go to therapy,
Yeah, very attractive.
very attractive?
Yes, because
Okay.
you are taking responsibility of something that you feel like you need to fix.
Amen.
That's attractive.
Yeah, I agree. What if a guy says, what if he says that he, what if he says if he's
Been
like,
sectioned.
what if he says that he's been to prison?
Red flag, but
Red
how red can it get?
I know.
No. So obviously, crime is crime, and
Does it depend what it is? If he's like,
I feel like yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're telling me that you've murdered someone, like I feel like
yeah.
be a bit like, okay, who was she? A girl? Like was it?
True. I killed my ex-girlfriend.
Then
boy.
those flags would be like, hello. But I feel like obviously there's petty crimes, and there
What
are
about tax
things.
fraud?
Yeah, like
That's a plus,
help me
boy.
with
Help
mine.
me
Help
not
me
pay
with
the
mine.
government.
No, so obviously,
Yes.
like I said, I mean, this could be a complete red flag to some girls. Like
course.
prison, nope. But I mean, I know people that have been in there for very like minor things, and it's a short time, and
yeah.
they do come out differently. And do change. So although you've not gone to therapy, you've gone to Her Majesty's therapy, and she's helped you. So
The government's
yeah,
therapy.
I feel like it all depends on the type of person. Like people go in there and they do come out completely different, and then some people go in there and do the same thing all the time. So
Then they're back in there.
yeah, sometimes lessons are not learned.
I get that. I'm gonna take a shift here.
Okay.
Have you ever gone out with your girls just to get attention from guys?
No.
Never?
Nope,
Even when you
honestly.
were single?
Nope. I've gone out with
Interesting.
my friends and had attention, but not gone out looking for that.
Okay. So remember when you said when your last relationship ended, you're like, you're going out all the time?
Yep.
None of that was like to get attention at all?
No, because
Okay.
how my relationship ended, like I had a good relationship, and if anything, I probably would have jumped into one too soon and compared everything to my last one.
Right.
So I feel like I had sorry, this is going really deep.
Go for
So
it. That's what we're here
my
for.
last relationship, in relationships, I do this a lot where I'm all about the boyfriend and I kind of lose friendships and I like seclude myself a little bit. So when that relationship ended, it was me getting friends back. So I was a bit
Interesting.
different to that. So like I was
Okay.
going out and making new friends and meeting new people and not for the attention of men.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear that.
But a lot of women do that, and at the end of the day, like it's just trying to fill a void. You've got to work on yourself first.
Yeah, of course. What would you say to having like male friends who give her attention and stuff if she's like dating a guy that she's serious
No,
about?
big no.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I don't think that's right.
No male friends at all.
I mean, you can have male friends, but I mean, it depends in the circumstances that it is. Like, if you've got a male work friend, it clocks off at 5. I'm not having you. Like,
true.
I'm not texting you at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like that. Like, that's done. We've got a
Yeah.
work relationship. We're work friends.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you've known someone all your life and it's a male and they've been friends with you throughout many things that have happened in your life, even like family friends, your parents could have grown up together.
Very
like,
true.
yeah, you can be friends, don't get me wrong, but there's a line. And if that line's ever crossed, you either tell them the boundaries or you have to cut the tie. Like, choose your relationship that you want. Do you want your boyfriend relationship or do you want your man-friend relationship?
It's very true. I think men can only be friends with women they're not attracted to.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't think...
Even like the flirty, like little bit of banter that you have with people, like you can't do none of that shit.
No, it's true. Ultimately, it's just about the respect for your relationship. What's something else you want to ask? You got anything else?
Let me have a little look. So I've done the first thing. So this kind of speaks about what we were speaking about, like a man being the provider. Do you think a man should allow a woman to be like in her feminine energy and taking a masculine provider role? Do you feel like that should happen? Like that should be what happens today?
I don't think a should as in it's
obviously as a dating coach as well. Like what do you feel like the message is to men these days with that?
Yeah, I don't think it should, in a sense that everybody has to subscribe to that, to those roles. I think if a man, I think it is in every man's interest if he can be that man. Because if he can be that man, then the women available to him is just massively expanded. If he can do that. It's funny because a lot of the time, you know, the stereotypical profile of my client is the strong, independent, very successful career woman who gets to a certain age where she wants to start settling down, have a family, completely understand and reasonable. But then she wants to take a back seat. She doesn't want to be the strong, independent. She wants the soft life. She wants a guy to come in and play that part for her.
Do you feel like she's a bit too intimidating for a man like that? Or do you feel like a man that would fit that role should just step in and she can sit back?
I think depends how she approaches dating, but the strong, independent woman generally, she's not intimidating because of her success. A lot of the time to be successful, right, you have to use a lot of your masculine traits. You have to sit in your masculine, right? You have to be very dominant, very alpha, very aggressive. Now, if a masculine man comes along and he's naturally more attracted to the more woman who sits in her feminine. So he goes, hey, I respect you as a business partner, but as a romantic partner, we're just not a good fit.
Nope.
That's just how he sees it.
Yeah, do you feel like it could be kind of off-putting? Obviously, like if a woman is pretty masculine in that sense. Yeah,
I think I don't want to say like having a great career and being successful means that she's definitely masculine.
Yeah, like she's not desirable. Like it doesn't mean that at all. She is desirable in other ways, but it's just the kind of man that she's going to attract, isn't it?
Yeah, I think look, to be successful, you have to put in long hours. And if you're sitting in your masculine, you get used to sitting in that more than the other side of you, right? And so when you go out and if you approach dating with that sense, you are going to attract the feminine men, not the masculine men.
Yes.
Right? Which is why a lot of the time, you know, the strong, independent, successful woman, she's like, I'm attracting guys who aren't on his shit. He's looking to me for leadership, can't make a decision, can't make a plan.
I don't want a child, I want a man.
Right. And it's like, well, yeah, because you are presenting to be that role in the dating world, so you're going to attract the complementary role to that. If you want a man to be that, you need to be advertising yourself as the more complementary role. Does that make sense?
100%.
For you in that sense, because it seems like, you know, you very much understand that, you're, you know, on your stuff with that. Have you always seen it that way, or was it through certain experiences you were like, oh, this is what works for me?
So I feel like I'm in my masculine now. I do feel like obviously building my business, how I'm trying to portray myself, the effort that I've got towards work. I'm definitely in my masculine, and I have had soft life as well. But I mean, it's always nice to be cared for, and you can still be a motivated, driven woman
100%.
And be in soft life. Like you've just got to find the time to switch off and appreciate being in that energy and even having a partner that can let you switch off and do that as well. So I feel like that's very it's knowing how to be able to change that. Like it's nice to be able to have someone that you can grow with and being masculine even together. Like you're obviously both driven, you're both motivated, you're both working towards something, and that path is together. But then obviously you do need that time where you can sort of relax and be a woman, be feminine. Yeah.
What would you say to the women who are like, I don't want to have to change myself to attract the kind of man I want?
I've got 2 points of this.
Go on.
So my first point, so can you just repeat that?
No, so like, what would you, so women who are like, you know, you were saying about, oh,
You
if you
don't
want
want
to
to
attract a masculine,
change.
high value man, right?
Yeah.
You know, it's going to work better for you if you sit on your feminine, right? And if, let's say you take a masculine who's like, I'm not going to change myself to attract the kind of man I want.
So good for you if you're not going to change. Like, you will attract someone eventually that will try and fit to the energy that you are giving. But it will be harder because you are on a path that you've got like tunnel vision. Like, although you're saying you don't want to change and you shouldn't change, it's the energy that you're giving out that you needs to adjust. Because no one's going to approach you with that energy and want to be in a relationship with someone that's so like hard driven and da-da-da-da-da. Like, I feel like you've got to be, not change yourself, but accepting of someone else. I feel like it's not about changing yourself. It's just about like working with other people. You've got to be a different person when you're around someone else, like how you do things. I feel like that it's a hard way for me to explain that.
No,
but
I get that.
I do feel like you don't have to change as a person. Like, someone should love you for who you are and what you do and whatnot. And normally in a relationship you change together. So
that's very true. Very true. What's one thing you say you know about men now that you didn't know 5 years ago?
men lie.
You only know that now?
I only know that now. So like, men, to the extent of what men lie is really big. Sorry, Luke, I don't mean you. But even like knowing like pasts and conversations that I have with men, like you guys lie about a lot. Like, and I always kind of knew this, but not the extent.
Yeah, well, they say, you know, men fall in love with their eyes and women fall in love with their ears, which is why women wear makeup and men tell lies.
Yeah, very true.
That's true. What have you found is the biggest, most common reason men lie to women?
Normally it's obviously just like little white lies and like, oh, I'm going to tell her that I'm doing this, but I'm going to the pub or whatever.
Okay.
Like, obviously a lot of that does happen, but I do feel like it's the not wanting the ag. Like, you don't want the ag, you don't want the earache, you don't want it when you come home. Like, you'd rather just say this and just be 25 minutes late and then you come home and whatnot. But I do feel like it's a man just not wanting the ag. Like,
he's just trying to
obviously if you're a persistent liar and it causes pain and hurt, like, that's a different thing. Like, that's not being a nice person. That's like really wrong. But I do feel like telling a little white lie just so you don't get a bit of earache isn't that bad.
You're like, it's all right.
Yeah.
One more thing you want to ask? You got anything else you want to talk about?
The only other thing that I really have on here is, I mean, you hear a lot about like alpha men and beta men, and what's the problem with a woman dating a beta man? A man, sorry.
A beta man, a beta male guy.
Yeah.
Ask them, because they don't want to. Nothing's wrong with it, but a lot of the time, women don't want that guy. They don't want the guy.
The one that alpha.
Yeah, a lot of the time. I mean, he's the alpha for a reason, right? And you know, whether we've evolved that way, if you believe in evolutionary biology, it's always been the alpha that gets to mate with the females. Do you know what I mean? In the lion pride, you have one male lion to several lionesses.
Yeah, stags.
Stags, silver, you know, and our closest cousin primates, gorillas, silverback gorilla, monkeys, the top male mates with all the females. And it's primarily because the females are like, we are only going to mate with the strongest male.
Yep.
Whoever's at the top of the hierarchy. Now, it's funny because as we become more civilized and everything like that, how we establish the hierarchy is different in different environments. So like maybe out at a bar or a club, it could be like the most attractive guy. But then maybe at work, it's the guy who earns the most.
Yeah, or doing the best.
Or doing the best. Social media, the guy who has the biggest following in the blue tick.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I think females have always wanted to mate. Well, females mate across and up dominance hierarchies, right? That's what hypergamy is, which is why a lot of the time if a woman earns a certain amount, she's like, I want a guy on my level or above. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's nothing wrong with a woman being with a guy who's quote unquote more on the beta side. Yeah. But just from what I've seen, women just don't want that guy.
No, and I feel like sometimes you can kind of lose respect for that as well.
100%.
I feel like that is a natural thing. A lot of people can say that they might not, but I do feel like it is naturally going to happen if you are the decision maker, if you are the provider. There's going to be a lot of things that you probably won't even pass over to beta and you'll just do it. Like it's not really like a leveled relationship.
I recognize I'm very biased in saying this. I think respect for a man is more important than love.
Really?
I do. Because I think respect is love to a man.
Do you feel like a man has to like a woman more or the other way around?
For the relationship to last, I think she has to like him more.
Really?
I think it's more important that she gets her top choice
Yep.
than he gets his top choice.
Okay.
Because I think if she feels like she's settled for him, she will always compare him to the man that she feels she should have had.
In question. Yeah,
Right.
I get that.
But for guys, I think guys are more happy to settle and be like, it's funny because like when men and women date, a lot of the times men are looking for reasons to qualify her.
Yeah.
And women are looking for reasons to disqualify him.
Yeah, I
So it's just
definitely
like-
agree with that.
So like a woman would be like, oh, like his shoes are whack and he's got a weird car and it took him 47 minutes to get here.
yeah.
Guys are like, okay, she like has weird hair, but she's got really nice eyes.
Yeah. And
it's
it,
like,
it's that sort of thing of like comparing, and I guess you could kind of say that we do see like the negatives a little bit more.
yeah.
We do kind of pick up on that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Especially like we have been saying, there is so much choice out there now for a woman.
100%,
So
even more so.
there's one ick that you give, and it's
Could be it.
you're off the roster.
You're not even on the
You're
roster.
not even on it anymore.
You're not even on the roster. It's
like
true.
it's very minor icks that people get icked over now, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things, and it's kind of like a cultural thing, especially for like our age and stuff. If you like the biggest ick, that if someone gives you like a really big ick or like really turns you off,
Yeah.
you can't look at them the same way.
It's true. It's true. It's like, there's someone I've been watching a lot recently. His name's Dr. Orion, and there's something he calls in a lot of relationship dynamics. It's called the adorer and the adored, right? The adorer is the person who essentially wants them more, right? Because in any relationship, it's very rare you get people who want each other exactly the same level.
It's
You
a bit
can
off
both
balance.
adore each other, of course, but generally one person adores the other one a little bit more. And so you have the adorer and the adored, and I think relationships work best if she is the adorer. Now, initially, we all think we want to be the adored, right? It's like, yeah, I want them to be completely adoring me, everything, right? Because it gives the sense of security, power. In
There's a lot of
relationship.
pressure with that as well, though, that comes.
Yeah, 100%. But when you're the adorer, you're the one who actually gets to have the emotional experience of being with the person you want.
Yeah.
You're the one that gets to be like, oh, I'm so excited to see this person. Not that the other person isn't, but you more so. And I think because the emotionality, I think, is more valuable for women, that's why I think it's better if she likes him more.
Yeah.
Because she gets the richness of quality of the emotional experience is better when you're the adorer.
Major satisfaction.
Yeah. And I think that's more important for women. Guys are like, I love her, I adore her, I take care of her, but it's okay if I'm not like, you know,
Lovey-dovey all the time.
or like if I'm not crazy obsessed with her.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? He's just
My man's not allowed to be like that.
he
He has to be
nodding
crazy
his head.
obsessed
He's not
all the time.
All the time.
No, it's-
guys, always tell her that you are. Even
It's
if you're not.
draining. Like it is draining for men, especially with these women that do want more all the time, and they do compare the relationships to social media because they could see one video on TikTok of a room filled with balloons and presents and whatnot and think, why does my man not do that? But
Very
actually,
true.
people choose what they want us to see on social media.
Absolutely.
So you might not have known that they've probably had an argument 2 days ago and she packed her shit and left. Like you'd have no
100%.
idea. But it's just one of those things. Like people say, water the grass. Sorry, the grass is greener where you water it, which I do.
So true. I
I
like
do
that.
agree with that.
I agree.
But I do think to myself, if you're the only one that's watering, like
Yes.
your grass isn't getting any greener, and
Very
you're just
true.
gonna feel resentment.
So true. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah,
It's the thief of joy. Listen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your energy with us.
you're welcome.
Tell us about what you do. So if any girls want to get in contact with you about
Yeah,
your
so
management.
I have an OnlyFans management agency. So we do everything from like page management, social media promotion.
Nice.
We help with like chatting and things like that, content creation. So if you are really struggling, girls, and you obviously have like, we go on certain percentages and fan counts and whatnot, but I'm happy to try and help anyone anyone in the space that feels like they're really struggling. But yeah, we do management. And if you are interested, you can pop me a message on my Instagram.
Go on, what's your Instagram? Tell us.
So my personal is Francesca B. Bates and my business page is FBavailable_.
Kill them. We love it. We love it. We're actually chatting a bit of OnlyFans business and stuff. I'm not in that world. She is, obviously. My feet pics don't sell, so I try.
You should go on Feet Finder.
Feet Finder?
Yeah,
oh my gosh,
Feet Finder's the better one for
I
that.
probably need to get a pedicure. There's a pedicure, right? Is it
Yeah,
a pedicure?
manage your hands, pedis your feet.
Oh my gosh, guys, claps for me. But thank you for sharing your energy with us.
No,
today.
it's
We
been really
appreciate
nice.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, guys. Go show us some love. Go give her a like. Give us some follows and stuff. And if you're by chance an OnlyFans girl and you need some help, Francesca, your girl, man. Check her out. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And I will see you in the next episode.